Welcome to U.S. Columbus News Channel. After the record attacks on the Donetsk front, flames rose again at the Russian military points. After the large-scale attacks of the Ukrainian army on this front, smoke was seen at the Russian military positions. Bombardments against military points in this region continue. Russian military areas were severely damaged, engulfed in flames. As a result of the operations carried out by the Ukrainian armed forces on the front, a fire broke out in the Russian military positions. Operations were carried out with various ammunition against Russian military targets on the front. As a result of the conflict, many attacks were carried out. As a result of large-scale attacks, it was reported that a fairly large area was damaged. Moreover, it was stated that these attacks were carried out against the Marinka and Bakhmut fronts. As is known, additional military equipment and troops were sent by Ukraine to this Bakhmut region. Afterwards, various operations began to be carried out. Although the Russian army suffers its greatest losses on this front, it does not withdraw from the region. This situation is seen as either a strategic mistake or a necessary move because it is important for Russia. However, these moves cause strategic mistakes to break out and the losses to reach very serious dimensions. Moreover, the strategic importance of this region leads to an increase in conflicts between the soldiers. It is known that if a dominance is achieved in this region, it will provide an advantage since its location is in the middle of Donbass. In addition, it is estimated that the Russian logistics flow between the two fronts will be interrupted if Ukraine retakes the region. In addition, it was reported that bombardments were carried out against Russian military points in the regions of Belogorovka and Terny on this Donetsk front. As a result of the accurate bombardments, the Russian military areas were severely damaged. This made losses inevitable. At the same time, critical operations continue on the Luhansk front, another region in Donbass. It was reported that the Ukrainian armed forces actively carried out attacks on the Svatov-Kreminna line. In recent days, the Ukrainian army has been making an important advance on this line. It is even stated that the control of this line can be taken back at any time. If the strategic advances and significant achievements on these fronts are continued, the Ukrainian forces can even completely retake this front. Moreover, it is known that this front is the most critical regions of the East. For this reason, if this is achieved, the course of the war will proceed completely in favor of Ukraine. It will also provide a great advantage. It is even known that these regions are the dream of Russian President Putin and one of the reasons for starting the war. For these reasons, the retake of the regions by Ukraine will cause a great defeat and losses on the Russian side. Now that we have entered the 10th month of the war, the course of operations is advancing completely in favor of the Ukrainian army. Especially in such critical regions, the course of mutual attacks is increasing day by day. These conflicts, whose violence is increasing day by day, cause the attacks to reach record levels. In fact, it was reported that the Ukrainian army carried out record attacks on the Donetsk front. These attacks were carried out using various weapons and caused serious damage to the Russian military points. From now on, all kinds of moves on these fronts will determine the fate of the war on behalf of the countries. On the other hand, cooperation between Belarus and Russia continues. Belarus has maintained its closeness with Russia since the beginning of the war. Leader of Belarus and Russia had many meetings throughout the war. Although Belarus states that it does not directly participate in the war, it allows Russian forces to attack Ukraine from Belarusian territory. In addition, Ukraine announced that Russia was carrying important military equipment to Belarus, with the information it shared. The leaders of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus held talks recently. During the meeting, the future of bilateral relations was discussed. Russia has deployed military equipment in Belarus. According to the statement of the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Belarus, a set of weapons was received within the framework of military technical cooperation between Belarus and Russia. It was also reported that these systems will be transferred to the intended major military units and bases in the coming days. It is known that a group of TOR M2K anti-aircraft missile systems was transferred among the delivered weapons. Deputy Minister of Defense of Belarus Leonid Kaczynski also emphasized that this system has a wide range of altitudes, and is an effective system for various air targets, both high-speed and low-speed. Such preparations are followed with concern by many countries. In fact, as this cooperation increased, several countries began to deploy to the Russian and Belarusian border for precautionary purposes. However, if the scope of the war expands, the course of the war will become completely different. At the same time, according to the report of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia has intensified the transfer of military personnel, equipment and ammunition to the battlefields using the railway. Also, according to Ukrainian statements, Russian forces carried out 16 attacks during the day using a multiple launch rocket system, in addition to 1 missile strike and 4 air strikes. It has been announced that Russia continues to concentrate on the offensive on the Bakhmut, Avdiivka and Lyman fronts. It was also noted that the Russian troops are trying to improve their tactical position on the Kupiansk front, and hold the defense in the Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Novopavlivka regions. While the attacks of the Russian forces continued, counterattacks were carried out in Ukraine. During the day, the Ukrainian Air Force attacked 7 areas where the Russian forces, their weapons, and military equipment were concentrated. Ukraine's rocket and artillery units also attacked 2 ammunition depots, 2 Russian checkpoints and 11 other areas where Russian forces are concentrated. Losses of the Russian forces in the regions have not yet been disclosed. In addition, Ukrainian Armed Forces Air Force spokesperson Yuri Inat announced that the Air Force shot down 2 unmanned aerial vehicles on the Eastern Front in the morning and afternoon. It was stated that the downed unmanned aerial vehicles were all An-10 unmanned aerial vehicles and that Russia continued to conduct reconnaissance with unmanned aerial vehicles. Such losses greatly reduce the power of military operations on the Russian side. At the same time, while these losses increase, the increase in aid to Ukraine has a great impact on the progress of the war. Now the moves on the fronts are also more critical. On the other hand, it was reported that the security of nuclear facilities located on the territory of Ukraine will be increased. The International Atomic Energy Agency has started preparations to permanently deploy teams to nuclear facilities within the country. According to the statements, the agency stated that the reason for the assignment of this mission was to help maintain a high level of nuclear safety. In addition, it is aimed to provide technical support and assistance when the risk of nuclear incident or accident needs to be reduced. International Atomic Energy Agency stated that it wants a nuclear safety protection zone to be created around the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, which is currently under the control of Russia, against possible possibilities. However, Russia has declared that it will not give up the control it has over the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. However, according to new statements, progress is being made in diplomatic efforts. Such developments greatly affect the course of the war. Ukraine is preparing for the later stages of the war. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky called a meeting of the Chief of Staff of the Supreme Command today. Zelensky stated that they are preparing for the next few months, and next year in general. He stated that the main goal is the liberation of the lands. He also emphasized that the restoration of the areas damaged as a result of the attacks of the Russian forces is planned. He explained that at today's meeting the commanders were resting and they saw hope on the front. Now both countries have to use the ammunition they use in line with much more strategic moves. At the same time, it was necessary for them to carry out more careful and strategic plans. In the long run, every move of the countries is very important in order not to increase the losses. Increasing aid was also essential for Ukraine to continue to achieve success in the war. These aids will also determine the fate of the war on behalf of the countries. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.